You're listening to Last Word Radio, where you get your last word.
Welcome to the Fourth Line Podcast, part of the Alberta Podcast Network, locally grown, community supported. This is August the 2nd, 2020. With you today is myself, Carl, and Stevie Nick.
How's it going, Carl?
This has been the best weekend, arguably, since this whole quarantine COVID thing happened. And maybe even before that.
It's pretty wild what's happening right now.
So I assume you did almost identical to me. I sat down, for me, game started at 10 o'clock in the morning. And I said, 10 o'clock on, my day is booked. And that's what I did yesterday. I sat down on the couch. Actually, I got what I did the day before. Got a new TV, Nick.
Nice.
Yeah.
Bigger?
Kind of an unexpected thing, a little bit bigger, so a 55-inch 4K, which is nice, and it's just a little treat for the start of the playoffs.
No better time to get it,
right? So I sat down and had an amazing day watching postseason hockey.
And there was so much hockey yesterday, with the exception of like an hour right before the Pens Canadiens game. For some reason, they just scheduled an hour of no hockey in there, which was the longest hour I've experienced in a long time.
Yeah.
I was just laying on the couch like, well, what am I going to do now?
See, it was nice being West Coast, being here in Alberta. It was nice because it slotted in right around dinner time. And so for me, it gave me some time to figure my life out, and so did that. But it was great. I mean, there was only the two games: Oilers, Hawks, and Islanders, Panthers. Those games overlapped, but even that was staggered so that intermissions were different, which was great. You could
switch, yeah. And what did you think overall?
I enjoyed it. It was as good as I could have expected for a day of hockey.
This is best case scenario, right? With what happened with the pandemic and everything getting shut down indefinitely, this is pretty great how they've come back now.
Absolutely. I mean, because we've got 24 teams and 8 series and then a bunch of round robin games happening. Today, the round robin started and it's fun.
It's a lot of fun. And I'm watching teams that I otherwise never would have watched.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. After we finish recording this show, I'm going to finish watching the Avs game that's on right now. I'm going to have on as well in the background the Leafs and the Jackets. And then I'm going to, for some reason, end my day by watching the Minnesota Wild.
But they're on. So why wouldn't you? This is how starved we've all been for hockey. The exhibition games last week were the highest rated televised exhibition games Sportsnet has ever seen.
Yeah, I believe it.
That's how badly we all wanted hockey. And it wasn't just the fans. Those games were competitive. The players, this was not just a normal exhibition game for these players. They played hard.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they did not take it off. It wasn't just a little warm-up. You needed to get in there.
Yeah. So it was great to see that exhibition-wise. It really set a good tone for what we could expect in the play-in games. And, oh boy, what a start we had yesterday.
Yeah, so today we're going to touch on each series, especially the ones that have happened. We're going to spend most of our time on those. We're going to talk just about what's happened so far in this postseason. And that's what I've decided to call this, Nick, because the NHL has both decided that it is and isn't the playoffs, but there is no arguing it is the postseason.
It certainly feels like it with the level of intensity. But also, you know what I thought about yesterday? Because all these guys are racking up playoff points. Some of them rookies who've never played a playoff game before. So these guys are going to have 5-6 playoff points despite never playing a playoff game?
Apparently, it's playoffs.
This is dumb. Let's not dwell on this. I could go on for an hour about this.
Okay. Well, and let's cancel the schedule. Nick's going to finish drinking his tiny coffee, and
I just had a strong espresso. I'm all fired up. Let's get going.
All right,
let's do it.
Hold it back for a second, Nick. Let's remind everyone this show and the Alberta Podcast Network are sponsored by Park Power, and one of the things that makes Park Power so great is the fact that they're able to keep your costs low. And the way that they do that is they are a very efficient team. So if you go to ParkPower.ca, you can find out what you can get from them for your utilities. So they're a lot smaller than the big guys, so they're more efficient, they're more agile, and they can take advantage of opportunities to save you money, and they do. And that is fantastic. So head on over to ParkPower.ca, save yourself some money on utilities, because one, it's hot. You got the AC running at your place, most likely, if you got it. It was 30 degrees here in Calgary today, Nick. You've got the TV on all day for the next few weeks. That's going to be running. You're going to be opening the fridge a lot more, getting some snacks and some beverages out. You need those utilities running. Head to Park Power and get the best deal for you. Let's get started, Nick. Let's just jump right into the first series that started up. We got fired up with the Rangers and the Hurricanes, and this was a series going into it. I know I was looking forward to seeing, one, who was going to start in net for the Rangers, and two, could the Hurricanes kind of overcome the demon that was the Rangers beating them 4 times this year?
They did. I mean, they got off to a fast start. Like, Jakob Slavin scored, a minute into the game?
Yeah.
That whole kind of first, that felt more like an exhibition game to me than the actual exhibition games did. How fast the scoring started.
Exactly. Well, and you saw that in multiple games, right? Like, there was not just the Rangers-Canes. Yesterday, a lot of games got started, and within a couple minutes, you had a goal.
Yeah. It was great to see. But you know what? Despite that, I thought Henrik Lundqvist specifically played amazing.
And let's focus more on him, but great goaltending across the board yesterday. Some bad, but a lot of great goals.
Mostly good.
And he was fantastic. I know that, we talked about the fact that he was probably going to be the backup.
I didn't expect him to start yesterday.
No. Injury to Shesterkin left him and Georgiev as the goaltenders. So a little surprised, right? I think everyone, when they saw that lineup come out, shocked that Lundqvist did it, but he was everything he needed to be in that game.
I thought so too. He played great. And you know what? The Hurricanes top 3, top 6, I thought really brought it to him too.
Yeah. A little surprising. And this was a combination of, I think, that ease of getting back into competitive hockey and also, officiating, just getting back to it as well. But 16 minor penalties handed out in that game. Ridiculous.
It just felt like someone was in the box the whole time.
Yeah.
Which, the score probably should have been higher.
Well, right. Both. I mean, Mrazek he didn't have to be great. He was good enough. But yeah, definitely could or should have been higher with all those. But I kind of expect that to be the highest for this series. I don't expect that to continue throughout.
No, I mean, they're getting back into things, right? They're feeling the refs out, seeing what they can get away with. There were some soft calls, I think. So hopefully the refs kind of settle into it a little bit too. But I think this is as bad as we're going to see it for minor penalties.
I agree with you. I think that it will. There were definitely some calls that even regular season, I know that they try not to officiate differently, but you do. And there was some weak regular season calls, let alone a playoff game. So
for sure. And then there was one penalty less than 3 minutes into a game, fighting.
Yeah.
First game back, return to play, the first official NHL game that we've seen since March. And they dropped the gloves less than 3 minutes into it.
Justin Williams. Just
of all people.
Setting that tone, right?
Yeah. And Justin Williams is older than most guys on the ice.
Yeah.
But Ryan Strome, I think he's like 11 years older than him.
Yeah, it was very, surprising to see, especially because, a lot of times you talk about like it gets the building rocking, right? Like maybe you fight to like fire up the home crowd. There is no home crowd to fire up.
I think they're doing it to fire their teammates up.
Yeah.
And I noticed the benches after that fight were like banging their sticks hard on the ice and on the boards. Like I think everyone knew what everyone was trying to do.
Yeah.
They're just trying to raise the intensity level.
Well, and it's noon, right? Like afternoon hockey is not usually good hockey.
No.
And so to fire your team up the first game back and really get into it, it makes sense that they would kind of take that approach.
Yeah. Just a funny thing to see in an empty arena.
Absolutely. What did you think about the lack of fans at the games yesterday?
It felt very much like the Winter Classic, because when you watch the outdoor games, like the immediate area around the ice, there's no fans there. They're up kind of in the bleachers, right? So to me, it felt like a very kind of special, like once a year kind of game. By the time the third or fourth game of the day rolled around, I didn't really notice it.
No, the only one that I did notice, there was one commercial break in Habs Pens where they accidentally went to commercial too soon and then came back. And I don't know if you noticed, that's when I realized I'm not sure that they're pumping that in arena, because there was no fan noise at that point in time.
You think they're doing it through the TV?
It sounded like it. Either that or they just like turned it off in arena by accident too. But with no sound, with no fake fan noise in there. That's what I actually want. I don't care about the fan noise. Just let me see what these guys are doing. And it makes it even more impressive when you hear them playing that intensely and that, level of play. They should be able to do that, but it just seems more impressive to be able to do that without any sort of energy outside of themselves.
I totally agree. And you know what I noticed yesterday? The NHL's fan noise is kind of garbage. It's not, I don't know if it's not loud enough or it just doesn't feel as real. Like when I watched the baseball games, when I was watching baseball, because they all seem to be canceled now, but when I was watching, if I looked away from the TV, I could still hear it and it sounded like a normal baseball game. Like the crowd noise was very normalized in my opinion. But these hockey games, it doesn't sound normal.
It's like a white noise almost, like a murmur in the background.
Yeah. And I didn't notice, like, did they pump it up towards the end of the game, make it louder?
There were specific points, like I noticed, like on a penalty kill or a power play, they crank it up a little bit. Like the same parts in a hockey game where they come on and tell you to make some noise, that's when they would do it.
You know what I think they need to bring in? Two things. One thing that's way more frequent is they need to pump in a bunch of people yelling shoot on the power play. Yes. And two, when he hands out the Stanley Cup, they got to put booze through the speakers for Bettman.
You know what? I heard that they might be doing that.
Oh,
I heard, yeah.
That would be amazing if they did it.
I mean, Bettman's incredibly self-aware about it at this point in time.
He so is.
Yeah. And it would be good on him. I would actually hope that 90% of them were just him and his family booing him. So...
He comes home from a hard day's work. His kids are just like, boo.
Yeah, why not, right? Just get some of that in there. Hurricanes up 1-0 in the series. I expect them to be able to finish this out. I wouldn't be surprised if Rangers got 1, even 2, but Hurricanes with that advantage look pretty good.
Yeah, I agree. I stick to last week's prediction that Carolina's going to win.
I have changed it based off of one game, which will be a trend here. I think.
Did you pick New York?
I did pick New York, yeah. So, and I mean, my reasoning was that I thought they had good goaltending. Check. That Carolina couldn't beat them all year. They finally did. They have, yep. I still think it won't be a sweep, but I think Carolina probably has it. There was a stat yesterday. They went back and looked at, because it used to be the first round was best of 5, and I believe the statistic was 63% of teams that win game 1 win the series in a best of 5.
Yeah. It's not a lot of games. Like, you really can't fall behind.
No. I mean, it's the same. If you think of a best of 7, it's like you split the first 2 and now you've won game 3.
Right.
So this is what we've got on our hands
where
here.
we are. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's head back. So that was in Toronto. We got our first game in Edmonton, actually with the Edmonton Oilers. And outside of the game, the most notable thing of the weekend happened before that game with Matt Dumba, who wasn't playing in the game, came out and had a fantastic speech regarding kind of the Hockey Diversity Alliance and Black Lives Matter and kind of some of that movement in the NHL. Fantastic speech. And you could tell how nervous he was, and he nailed it.
Yeah, he did a really, really great job. He wasn't reading off of anything. It didn't really sound rehearsed. But you could tell he put a lot of thought into the words that he was saying and the message that he was giving. And I thought it was beautiful. And he topped it off by kneeling during the American national anthem with Malcolm Subban and Darnell Nurse on either side of him. And I thought it was just a really, really nice moment to start off the games in Edmonton.
And far from me to be the one to say anything, but I was like, this is the first time we had JT Brown hold his fist up a few years ago. This is the first time we had a player kneel during national anthem. Still have not had a player in a game kneel, right? We had Darnell Nurse and Malcolm Subban stand alongside them. I would have loved to see that, but the fact that the media and fans were so critical afterwards of the fact that he didn't kneel during the Canadian national anthem is, I mean, that's his movement. That's his stance that he's taking. And we wonder why people don't step out and take these approaches when then they're criticized for not doing it the way you want them to.
Totally. Right. And it's just another example of people telling them how they should be protesting or how they should be giving their message, or, when people start making those critiques, you're ignoring the fact that he gave this amazing speech beforehand. And this is so not normal for hockey.
At all.
So, I think this is a good step in the right direction. I expect, I think that they're building some momentum here within the sport and with the players, and I expect that to kind of continue. And you know what? Kudos to Sportsnet too, because a lot of their coverage, they've given a lot of airtime to the Hockey Diversity Alliance. Their intros to the games have been kind of beautiful montages to help spread their message. So, I think the broadcasters are doing a lot. I think the league is doing a lot now. It's very visible. It's kind of hard to miss the message. So,
yeah, and it's fantastic is that they're starting to improve in that area, and look forward to seeing kind of where it goes from here, because it is continuing to grow, continuing to improve, and just excited to see that. So, which then led to the game, and the Oilers are one of those teams where I feel like now that we've gotten here, like at least half of the teams somehow in this play-in series have a goalie uncertainty, right? Like we talked about it last week, and then we finished the show, and I was like, man, like we even missed some of them, right? Like there was some of them that still had some uncertainty. Edmonton made the Mike Smith choice, and it couldn't have gone worse.
It went very poorly for them. So I actually missed the first period of this game, and when I turned on the TV at the end of the first period, it was 4-0, I think.
I know it was 4-0. It might have been 4. It went to 4-1
or 4-1 maybe. Yeah. I thought back to our episode last week when we were like, if you let in 4 goals in the first period, you got to pull the guy, right? You can't fall behind. And they didn't do that.
No, they let him get the 5th one and then pulled him.
You just can't. There's no coming back from 4-1 in the first period. They tried, and you know what? They almost did, but that's a tough one.
It is, right? Like, I don't understand the logic there from... I mean, I don't get the logic of starting with him to begin with, but keeping him in, he did nothing to show that he could perform well. And I mean, the Oilers defensively were not doing him any favors. The spacing was atrocious. But there were multiple of those goals that he should have been able to stop. And he did.
I mean, there was the one he came out to the back of his net and gave the puck away.
Yeah.
Like, you can't do that. Like,
that's on you.
Yeah. In a best of 5 series, that could ruin the series.
Yeah.
You can't do stuff like that.
Hardly. Yeah, so we've got that situation. So they still won't say that they're going with Koskinen for game 2.
You have to, though.
There's no way. No way that you go back to Mike Smith.
No. You can't.
So, we saw Koskinen gave up 1 goal the rest of the way, which is nothing to be ashamed of, right? And in just over half a game, giving up 1 goal is enough to win a game, especially with that Oilers team, right? You can expect at least 3 goals. So with that being said, if they were to go to Koskinen, do you think the Oilers can come back from being down 1-0 with what you saw from Koskinen the rest of the way?
Yes, I do.
I think so.
Do you? Yeah. I think he'll be fine. He'll give them a little more confidence that he'll stop the puck. He won't make boneheaded plays where he comes out to play it. Like, they'll be fine with him. They would have been fine with him if they started with him.
Exactly. And I would say, and I know that there's some people out here that love a good puck handling goaltender. Mike Smith is a puck handling goaltender. And with having someone who doesn't do that, you know more what you're getting, right? With Mike Smith in net, there's that question mark of, is he going to come out and play the puck? Is he not? With someone who does that less in Koskinen, you know more, you can set up better and come out and make your exits appropriately.
Totally. And they need to lean into that. And I'm sure they will. Like, he can be all cloak and dagger, but there's no way that you go back to Mike Smith for game 2.
No, Mike Smith's, unless there's an injury, he should not see the ice the rest of this playoff.
Totally agree. Now, I want to nitpick their lines a little bit. Okay? And maybe this is easier for me because I'm familiar with this player, but at the deadline, they acquired Andreas Athanasiou from the Red Wings. I'm on Daily Faceoff right now. They've got him slotted in on a 3rd line with Riley Sheahan and Josh Archibald. And they've got Zach Kassian on the top line with Connor McDavid. Now, Athanasiou, look, he's not an elite player. Okay, he's no Leon Draisaitl or Connor McDavid, but his one asset is his speed. And he's got some decent hands. He struggles with consistency and confidence, but you need to put that kind of speed beside Connor McDavid.
You sure you don't want Zach Kassian there instead, Nick?
No. What are they? And I know in the regular season these guys clicked and Zach Kassian was performing well, but come on, you gotta put speed with speed. Give McDavid somebody who can keep up with him.
I agree 1,000%. That's definitely where it should go. Zach Kassian was a problem in that game in a lot of facets, and a lot of those lower lines, you can mix it up. You absolutely should have them up there. Moving to our next game. Yeah, I guess to wrap that up, I think they can come back. You do too?
I absolutely do. I do think we should mention quickly the name Dominic Kubalik because that guy kind of came out of nowhere and recorded 5 points or something like that during this game for Chicago.
Yeah, no big deal. Just your first playoff game, 5 points.
Yeah, NBD.
As one does, right?
As the kids say.
Yeah. I mean, obviously great showing for him. Moving to Islanders, Panthers. We got, kind of what I expected from this series. Low scoring, nothing too outrageous, but the Islanders managed throughout the entire game. Even when up, they still managed to hold the Panthers down.
And you know what? I flipped to this game in the intermissions after the Edmonton game. It wasn't. I think we should give them more credit than we did last week. It was a little more exciting than I expected it to be.
It was, yes, definitely was still fun to watch, and I don't think it was like just the lack of hockey that any hockey is good hockey, but
no, it was good hockey. It was fast paced. The goals that were being scored, like you said, there weren't a lot of them, but like I watched Huberdeau's goal happen live, and I was like, wow, what a goal! Like those kind of goals that keep you glued to the TV to see how it all happened for the replays. I'm here for that. I'll watch those games.
Yeah, and with this game being as tight as it was, right? Like, sure, Huberdeau started the third period, got it fired up, and led for a close game. I mean, there was a stretch there in the third period where the Panthers were really being like held without shots, which is kind of what you expect from this Islanders team, that they can hold you down. But still, I mean, equal shots through this game. And both of these goaltenders were what their teams needed them to be.
I was going to say, Bobrovsky looked great.
Yeah.
I was surprised. He looked really good.
Yeah. And as much as, not giving this series the credit it deserved last week, talking about how the Islanders just didn't have some of those deeper offensive pieces. I mean, trade deadline pickup, JG Pajot gets one of the goals. Anthony Beauvillier gets the second one. And Matthew Barzal honestly didn't have what you would expect him to have for a game.
No, and he's the kind of guy that when you watch the Islanders, he's always who catches your eye. He's so fun to watch. Yeah.
And Panthers did a great job shutting him down in that way, right? There was a guy on him always, and they did what they needed to. Where do you think this one's?
I mean, I'm still at where we were at last week. Like, let's flip a coin. I'd probably, in the long run, I'd go Islanders over Panthers still. Probably 5 games, though.
I would think Islanders in 4 from here.
Islanders in 4, eh? Shave off that last game.
Shave it off. Let's just, why wait? Just get it done with, Nick.
So there were 5 total games played yesterday. Average goals per game is 4.6. So 4 of the 5 games had 5 goals or more scored. This is the game that dropped the average, and I think we can expect that every other night going forward.
For this one to drag it down? Yeah, I would say so. Because every game yesterday had 5 goals, except for this one, 5 plus. Yeah. And today, also that.
It's a lot of scoring.
It is, right? For sure.
It's fun to see.
It is. All right, next up, the Penguins and the Canadiens. This felt like 3 different games combined into one.
Oh boy. This game was all over the place. When it started, I was like, the first 5 minutes, I was like, okay, Canadians are done. They don't even have a chance in this series. And then they scored that first goal, and it was a garbage goal. And you just knew it was going to be garbage because of how the chances were going the other way.
Yeah.
And ever since they scored that goal, it was like they had all the confidence in the world.
Yes. Yeah, we had that, and it felt like in the same way, and I mean, this is what we had at the end of the game too, but it felt like, in like a long overtime game, I always assume the longer it goes, the team with the less chances wins it.
Yep.
That was exactly how that goal happened, right? Montreal had given up so many opportunities. Carey Price did a fantastic job at the start of that game, keeping them in it.
Yeah.
And then a terrible goal that Matt Murray absolutely should have had and got them in.
Now, I still favor the Pens in this series, and I'll tell you why.
Please do.
The Canadians looked just eye test wise, they looked like they had to work so much harder to keep up with the Penguins. And all game they were working, you could just tell they were digging deep to just be competitive with the Penguins. And I don't know if that's a consistent thing that they can do all series.
For sure. And that was, with one of the reasons I said it looked like multiple games is because especially in overtime, man, you go from not playing a competitive game in almost 5 months to now playing an overtime, like a playoff overtime game. They looked like it was third OT in that one. It was a slog.
Yeah. Yeah. And I watched most of the game, and you see guys like Tatar and Dale Weiss and Gallagher's pretty good. But some of these guys, they were skating their butts off, and you just know, you're like, this is not how you normally play. This is not sustainable for a week-long series.
Unless you've been doing a lot of off-ice training in the last stretch.
Which I guess, what else would you have been doing over the last 4 months?
Right?
But, yeah, I don't know. It just looked way more effortless for the Penguins than it did for the Habs.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, and big sorry, I got distracted because there was a dangerous hit that shouldn't have happened in this Avs game, and it was, I didn't see who was on, but it was Gabe Landeskog who delivered the hit. So
there's a lot of those happen in the first games back.
Yeah, it's 100%. And we'll get to one of those because we do have we skipped over a suspension that happened today. Where were we? Yeah, that game definitely, with Montreal winning, that was the second 12 seed that won yesterday. We had more upsets today. Do you think there's something to this format and the way we're coming back that favors the underdog, or is it just small sample size shenanigans?
I don't think it favors the underdog. Maybe it favors the underdog in the sense that it's a pretty level playing field. There's no momentum. You're basically the break you've had was longer than your regular off season, right? So maybe it favors them in that way. I just think it's max chaos right now.
I would agree with that. It seems like because everyone's coming in, everyone feels like they're on that level playing field.
Yeah.
Like you said with Montreal yesterday, they skated their butts off. Whereas if this was a regular season game, no chance that they would have done that, right? That would not be the way that they played.
Yeah. Yeah. But everybody feels like it's the playoffs.
Yeah.
They're all playing playoff hockey.
Because it is. Let's go back. Apparently. In the Blackhawks Oilers game, Drake Caggiula, former Oiler, laid a big ol' hit to the head of Tyler Ennis of the Oilers, leading to a 1-game suspension.
Oh, yeah. And then Ennis got penalized for that.
Because Ennis put the puck over the glass, and after the puck left his stick, Caggiula nailed him in the head. No penalty on the play. Ennis later had to go get concussion spotted and had to go to the old quiet room for a little bit.
That was a bad hit.
It was a stupid hit. I am surprised that it was only 1 game, especially because he was not penalized in the game.
Well, I think that's why he got the suspension. I do wonder if they caught it in the game, if they would have suspended him at all.
Well, because I do know that is something that they take into account, right? If you get kicked out of a game, they kind of count that as 1.
Yeah.
But it should be more than 1.
It shouldn't be?
It should have been. Should have been more than 1.
He got him square in the jaw.
Yeah. With No reason to. I mean, sure, he had the puck. You can hit him. That's legal, but what he did was not.
Yeah, I agree. That was a dangerous hit. I feel like every game I watched yesterday, there was one of those hits. Because there was one in the Florida Islanders game as well. I want to say it was Mike Matheson got somebody in the head too, and I believe he was given a 5-minute major and it was reduced to a 2-minute.
Yes, that you're correct on that. Yeah. And also shouldn't have been.
And it also shouldn't have been. I don't remember seeing one in the Carolina-New York game, but I mean, Calgary-Winnipeg, I think we're going to talk about that one.
We are going to talk about that one. There were some huge hits though in that Carolina-New York game. And I can't pinpoint an exact hit, but certainly some heavy contact, not just with the fists, but
no, these guys came out flying.
Yeah. Well, let's get to you teased out Winnipeg, Calgary. Let's get to that. And the tone setter off the hop, Mark Scheifele.
Okay. First of all, just from I feel so bad for this guy. You've been off for 4 months, and Scheifele was on the return to play committee. So he worked for the players to build this whole thing, and he gets out onto the ice, and 3 minutes in, he gets hit like that. And I don't know how bad the injury is. I saw something today that said he might be out for the remainder of the playoffs. He certainly needed help off the ice.
It looked bad.
It looked very bad.
The amount of times that you see an NHL player writhing in pain on the ice is low.
And it took the life out of the Jets.
It very much did. I mean, it took away their number one center. Arguably, their only good center was gone for the game. And then left them with having to fill that void and figure out some sort of line combinations that could work. I mean, legality of it being what it is, terrible situation for the Jets.
Awful situation for the Jets. Awful situation for Scheifele. What did you make of the hit?
So I try to look at it as if it wasn't Matthew Tkachuk laying the hit, because it can be very easy to look at anything that he does in the same way I would do the same with Marchand and be like, look, I'm not giving you much benefit of the doubt here. Looking at a lot of the angles that we had and not fully being able to tell what is going on with that skate that makes contact with him, it appears. The hit itself, I'm fine with. Because they were both going into the boards. He was kind of going down already. I didn't think the hit itself was dangerous. Now, because they can't say because of COVID-related reasons what the actual injury is. I know Adam Lowry said after the game that he was cut. Paul Maurice could not confirm that. If that's the case, it looked reckless. I'll say that.
So what I don't like about the hit, and if you see me looking down at my phone, it's because I'm watching it. I keep watching it over and over again, and maybe this is the angle, but he very clearly, as he's going towards the boards, he very clearly is going to and does shoot the puck into the zone. What I don't like about it is that Tkachuk decided to follow Scheifele instead of just go after the puck or back off because the puck wasn't in play anymore. To me, it was an avoidable hit.
It definitely was. I mean, he could have not done it, but Matthew Tkachuk is a player that finishes those checks. I don't think the lack of puck there. I think it was within that time frame where you're able to still finish that hit after they move the puck.
Could be. I could just be watching it slowed down too, because that really does change the way hits look.
It very, very much does.
Which is a dangerous way to watch plays like this.
Do you think that there was any sort of intent with the skate blade
No.
or recklessness?
No. I don't think, look, Matthew Tkachuk is a pest. I don't think he goes out there to hurt anybody. I don't think he actually intends to try and hurt anybody.
Unless your name's Drew Doughty.
And if by hurt you mean hurt his feelings. No, I don't think he meant he tried to hurt him or meant to hurt him or was like intending to take him out of the game. I don't think any of that was happening.
With that being said, they haven't said the time frame on Scheifele's return. I think it's very safe to say he won't be back this series.
Yes, I agree.
And I think it's very safe to say that with him gone, the Winnipeg Jets will not win 3 out of 4 games.
Yeah, especially because he's not the only one who's gone right now.
It's true.
Right? Later in the game, Patrick Laine got hurt.
Yeah.
Those are 2 big players for them that are now out.
Yeah. Wrist injury for Laine.
Now, is that a bad one? I didn't actually see what happened.
It didn't look, it was bad enough that he left the game. I haven't heard if he will be playing for tomorrow. I think we'll see practice wise. What are they doing? How are they handling practice with all of this, Nick?
I don't know. I think I believe in Toronto they're using the Maple Leafs practice facility, which is a separate arena. And it's pretty close while it's on the same kind of grounds as the Hotel X.
Okay.
So I think that they're probably using that arena for practices.
Okay. Because, you can't practice with how many games there are here.
You can't.
There's no, yeah. And actually, I was thinking yesterday, this is why I love the fact that we got playoff overtime on day 1. Playoff overtime is fantastic. It's super fun, high stress.
The best kind of overtime.
It's the best unless you're watching your team in it and you just want it to end.
It's also the best until it's like 3:00 in the morning. They're going into third overtime. Where you're like, oh my God, please just let this end.
I got busted last night. So one thing, if you didn't notice on Twitter, we brought back high sticking this week.
Yeah,
and it's been a ton of fun. I got busted last week. It's 11:00 at night my time, 1:00 on the East Coast. The Jets Flames game's winding down. I'm standing there brushing my teeth. And I'm just gonna send this tweet out. I'm bagged. I've been doing this for 11 hours, and I get it. It's not much of a sacrifice. I watched hockey all day, right? But I'm tired. I want to go to bed. And so I send out, before the game's done, I send out the high sticking tweet. And someone says, hey, you must be ahead of me. I'm streaming it. I didn't realize I was that far behind that the game's done. Spoilers, it's not done. I'm going to bed.
Yeah, I was long asleep by that point. How is your brain feeling after, first of all, watching hockey all day, but secondarily being on Twitter all day?
It felt good. It was an energy. There was so much
mushy?
energy. No, it's also the first day. I realized yesterday it was the first day that I've spent at home since this whole quarantine shutdown thing started that I didn't play video games. So
wow,
it's. Nick, I don't have a daughter to spend my days with. I've got video games. I've got sports. My wife and I certainly do plenty together, but there's only so much that 2 people can do before.
Can I tell you a secret?
Please do.
I miss video games.
They miss you too, Nick.
The one game I get to play once a week, me and my buddies all confer online, and we play an online version of Settlers of Catan. Friday nights, that's what we do.
Friday is a Settlers night. I had this debate. Do you have a strat? We were actually talking about this earlier today. What is your Settlers of Catan strategy, Nick?
I don't know, man. It's so hard, and it really depends what position you are for placement, right? I always try to secure some rock pretty early because it's so valuable later in the game. So I try to get me some rock. I deprioritize sheep at the beginning of the game.
See, I was talking to someone today, and his literal goal was to hoard sheep. You don't win. That's No one needs sheep.
No, you don't. No, sheep is like the least resource I'm concerned with.
Yeah. Anyways, this has been our Settlers of Catan corner. Our Catan corner.
We'll have to get a game going sometime.
We will. I mean, if you want to, I'm sure one of Nick's friends might be busy sometime. You can jump on in Friday nights.
Just bring the smack talk.
Just get rid. Ooh, it gets pretty heated.
It does get pretty heated.
I like it.
Yeah, not just in words, in actions too. Okay, let's talk about hockey.
Let's talk. We've just got today's games left, Nick, and at this point in time, we're sitting here. It is 1-0 St. Louis halfway through this game. It's been. I mean, I've been recording a podcast for most of it. Started this game, Avalanche were really dominating possession, and we're looking pretty good. There've been kind of an exchange of power plays, and we'll get to this with the Boston Philly game. These games do have a slightly different tone. The round robin games have a slightly different tone than the play-in series games.
So I didn't actually get to watch a game this afternoon. Can you tell me more about that? That's really interesting.
How is
the tone different?
It feels like a regular season game. Like it's competitive for sure. But it's not that do or die mentality.
Of course. Well, you can't be eliminated.
No, right? Like, sure, you win this game, and it's the difference between you playing the Blackhawks or the Coyotes.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a good team, you're going to be able to beat either of them.
Totally.
So it is a bit of a different tone. Today we had, starting off, the Flyers and Bruins. I guess it was technically the second game. Flyers, Bruins. The surprise there, Tuukka Rask not feeling well. Apparently that's a thing you can say.
Wait, what's their line now?
Unfit to practice.
Unfit to play?
Unfit to play. But Bruce Cassidy doesn't care about that. He said that he was not feeling well.
I love these coaches.
Which in this time, Nick, is just a loaded statement if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, that's an interesting choice of words to use right now.
So anyways, he's not feeling well, but apparently he'll feel better soon. Yaroslav Halak started this game. Carter Hart was a gem in this one.
I don't know, man. I think this guy's going to be a gem for a long time.
I mean, he's a Western Hockey League guy. Loved Carter Hart before, still love him now. And at 21 years of age, first year in the playoffs, I guess his first full year in the league, and what he's able to do, I'm sold.
And you know what else is? Like I said, I didn't watch this game, but I'm looking at the stats right now. The Flyers got goals from 4 different players.
And not the 4 you would expect. Right? Like, they had goals. I know Nate Thompson got one. Who are the other ones there?
Oh, I mean, I don't know these players that well. They're not superstars, so I'm going to guess at their first names. Michael Raffle.
Yep.
Okay. Patrick Myers.
Philippe.
Not even close.
No.
I think I know this one. Scott Lawton.
Scott Lawton, yeah.
Lawton.
And not power play goals, but managed to get that done. I think this would be a slightly different game. Again, I also wasn't able to watch this game. I watched some of the highlights, so I don't have the full sense of it. But it seems like a Tuukka Rask-led team would probably have a slightly different result.
Yeah, team. I think you're like you said, you're more okay losing this game than you would be a 5-game series.
Yeah, and I mean, if this was game 1 of an elimination series, would Tuukka have been in? No way to know, but you're more likely to put him in that. Right?
Totally. So, I don't know. The Flyers, the Flyers were the one team in the round robin piece that I was like, they're only in this because they couldn't finish the season. If they could have finished the regular season, the Flyers probably would have fallen out of the top of the division. But I read an article on The Athletic today that totally sold me on the Flyers being a Stanley Cup contender. Like, it got me so hyped for the Flyers.
You're all in.
I think they might be able to do it, man.
Did you buy your Gritty jersey already?
No.
Okay. Well,
Oh my God. Do you think they're going to let Gritty hold the Stanley Cup if they win?
why wouldn't they? I mean, I can only imagine what he'd do with it, but
Just imagine that photo shoot. Actually, don't imagine that photo shoot.
yeah, no, thank you.
So, yeah, I don't know. What else we got? We got one more game that we...
One more game. Arizona and Nashville. Arizona coming out on top in that one. UC Saros. I told you last week, Nick, I've been waiting for him to get the nod, and he got the nod in this one.
You've been waiting for like 3 years for him to get the nod.
Oh, look.
He finally got it. And he gave up 4 goals in the first period.
But didn't get pulled and settled down.
I guess that's what you want. At that point, you got to count on the team in front of you to claw their way back into it.
Yeah. So did okay the rest of the way. Was impressed with Nashville being able to push back against the Coyotes. However, some of those areas, like, I mean, the game winner was a shorty. You can't be giving those up, right? Those are ones that you cannot do. Gave up a power play goal as well. So special teams, an area that they've got to be focused on. I mean, they scored 2 power play goals themselves. So offensively, that's fine. But, man, they need some help there. The guys who should get going for Nashville did in this one, though. Philip Forsberg, 2 goals.
Yeah. Matt Duchene was in on some of the scoring. Ryan Ellis was in on some of the scoring. Ryan Johansson was in on that. Like, they're big guns. Roman Josi had 2 points. Those are the guys you need producing if you're going to get through this.
And it was this exact same for the Coyotes, right?
Yeah.
Phil and Taylor Hall each had a couple of assists. And so moving forward, I think you'll see Nashville fix the things that they continue to fix through this game. They showed that they can make those adjustments they needed to. And I would still pick Nashville to win this series, probably in 5.
I would too, but less confidently.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Like, when they scored that 4th goal, I was like, oh boy, the Predators might be in a little bit of trouble here.
Yeah.
But
and yet,
you gotta think they're not going to let this happen again next game.
No, it'll be a different tone next game. So that's all we have thus far. We do have Nick, 7 minutes, probably more like 37 minutes. Puck drop in Jackets, Leafs. I would have thought that with all of these, no fans, all of this, that pregame festivities would have been much quicker.
Oh my God, Carl! I know. I've been more active on Twitter, especially about this topic, but I had to watch the national anthem like 6 times yesterday,
and all of them were Michael Bublé.
Why? Why are you making us do this? There's no fans there.
What do you think what percentage of fans do you think would be upset at removing singing the national anthem at these games?
Oh, probably more than I want to believe, but I also think that they'd get over it pretty quickly.
Probably. I went on a similar rant yesterday, and the question that was posed to me was, how do you start off the game? Because right now it's like you sing the national anthem, then you play. Do you just like walk out on the ice and start playing hockey?
Yeah, I think, look, they make a show out of all the players coming on the ice. They announce your opening lineup, number 91, Steven Stamkos, and he skates out onto the ice, and the lights are going, and the music's loud, and then the same way you just settle down for the national anthem, you just settle down to take the face off.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, right? Maybe make sure that there's some sort of fancy production, and then start playing.
It would take less than a season before people are like, oh, remember when they used to play the national anthem at games? That was weird.
I do think right now it would be a weird time to do it because of, the kneel kneeling demonstrations during it would feel like, all right, you want to do that? We're just going to take the anthems away. And I wouldn't want it to come across as that. That's not why I want the anthems gone.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. It would look like a pretty oppressive move, I think, if they did it.
Yeah. So not now, but later, do it.
Next season, just stop doing them.
I mean, next season's going to be weird anyways. It starts at Christmas. So
that's true.
Who will even know?
But that, we'll only have missed hockey for 6 weeks. So
it'll be, from Canadian to American Thanksgiving, we'll have no hockey.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we'll get exhibition games starting up and camps will open. So
exactly.
Yeah. The teams like the Sabres and the Red Wings will have played the hockey for the first time in 8 months.
Oh my God. This is going to mess with their pipeline so badly.
Oh yeah. It'll be interesting because the AHL hasn't said what they're doing yet officially. The CHL hasn't officially said what they're doing. So prospects in those leagues, who knows? And
I know the Red Wings have said this. I assume other teams are doing it too, but they're encouraging most of their prospects to go play in Europe.
I did see some of that talk as well. So
yeah, it makes sense.
It does. Got to go over there. I don't know how Europe is playing hockey as well, but hopefully they can.
I don't think they have the bubble going, but the bubble's working quite nicely here.
Bubble is nice. And I think we've shown bubble works. Not bubble sports definitely doesn't work.
Oh my goodness. Not working at all.
No. At least we have hockey and basketball. The Raps won. Raps beat the Lakers.
Oh, they beat them pretty bad too, eh?
Yeah, that was kind of the cherry on top for a great day. Being able to watch, I had that on in the background as well. Oh, man.
I totally forgot that game was on. And when I remembered, you get nervous because you're like, it's the Lakers. I don't know how this is going to end up. And when I saw the score, I was like, damn, good for them. Yeah. They crushed them.
Well, and they even came into that one saying that they weren't going to kind of show all their cards in case they play the Lakers in the finals. And if that's not all your cards, I'm sure the Lakers also didn't show all their cards, but if you're not giving it your all, man, let it rip. Let's go.
They have a shot this year. They're a contender.
Hey, they did what Kawhi's Clippers couldn't do.
They sure did.
All right. And Nick, we'll be back next week. We've got a full slate of games this week. Make sure to tune in on Twitter at Fourth Line Podcast, where we'll be playing high sticking every single day for every game. And it's been tweaked again. I think this is probably my favorite because it brings back the game-winning goal aspect from before, but is also slightly less work trying to manage it, which is nice. And I think it also gives more opportunities for points. So for every game, you pick one player who you think is going to score the game-winning goal. If that player's team wins, you get 1 point. If that player scores the game winner, you get 2 bonus points. However, if you pick a goaltender and that goalie gets a shutout, which as we talked about with 5 goals a game being kind of the on par, probably won't happen. But if it does, which Jordan Binnington might get one.
He's on track.
At this point in time. If no one picked Binnington today, though, I checked, no one has him. And now that I've talked about the shutout, hopefully it ends. But if that happens, instead of the 2 bonus points, you get 3 bonus points for a shutout. And we'll hand out a prize. We might even do 2. We'll do a prize for best in show, and then we'll do a random prize that each point counts as a name in a hat. So head on over to Twitter at Fourth Line Podcast and send those in. And what's nice is we're doing the draw. If you just play once, that might be the only points you need. But play every day, and you can win best in show. Right now, it is after 1.5 days. The leader is Matt from Reasons Are Debatable. So congrats to him. His Islanders won yesterday. He's leading high sticking. It's a banner weekend for him. the Alberta Podcast Network is a great place to go if you're looking for more shows. If you have that hour in between games and you don't know what to do with it, there are fantastic podcasts out there to go check out. We talked last week about some of the events that they have happening. Still doing some great online things here. But what I do want to touch on is the other, as hockey is back, the other hockey show on the network, which is called Hockey Feels, and it's with Steven and Rachel. Steven's an Oilers fan. Rachel's a Flyers fan. Both of those teams have some pretty tight situations right now. So tune into them. You can find them at hockeyfeels.wordpress.com or at hockeyfeels on the social medias, and certainly want to check them out. Find us at thefourthlinepodcast.com, where our writing team always has fantastic work coming out there, and we enjoy having that, enjoy seeing what they come up with. You can also find out where to find our podcast, where to find WaynesDryRub.com. You can find all of that over on the website. And until next week, where we'll be back with more hockey. We'll be on Monday next week unless something crazy happens.
Yeah.
Welcome to our Sunday shows. But until next Monday,
It's time for us to wrap up another Fourth Line show. I know what you're thinking. You don't want us to go. There's so much hockey to watch on TV. And with all the scoring, who needs a goalie?